It was a street corner like any other in the big city, cold and different, marked by hurried traffic and flashing lights, just like any other large metropolis. There, leaning against a graffiti-covered wall, stood a homeless man. His long, unkempt beard and tattered clothes told stories of hardship. To the pedestrians, he had no name. He was just another invisible face among countless others living on the streets. That morning, the rain was falling steadily, the beggar barely protecting himself from the icy drops. People rushed past, adjusting their umbrellas and avoiding eye contact, not wanting to face the misery so close to them. He reached out, but without words. Silence, he had learned, was less painful than constant rejection. For days, weeks, perhaps even months, he remained on that street corner. Each day brought the same routine of sadness and hunger. Then, one ordinary afternoon, fate intervened to change his life. A young man, dressed in worn jeans and carrying a backpack, stopped in front of him. The young man studied him for a moment, frowning, as if he were solving an invisible puzzle. Then he smiled and approached. "Hello, sir. Are you hungry?" he asked, his gentle voice breaking the silence. The homeless man looked up, startled. How long had it been since anyone had spoken to him? His voice, hoarse and barely audible, finally escaped. "Always." The young man nodded, opened his backpack, and took out a wrapped sandwich and a bottle of water. He crouched down, handing them over carefully as if offering treasure. Then, ignoring the dirt, he sat down next to the homeless man. "My name is Gabriel. What's yours?" he asked. The homeless man hesitated before answering. "Eduardo. But no one has called me that in a long time." "Nice to meet you, Eduardo." Gabriel smiled warmly. "If you don't mind me asking, how did you end up here?" Eduardo looked down. It was a story he rarely told, but there was something about Gabriel's honesty. He was different. He exuded peace that encouraged him to open up. "I had a life, a home, a family. I worked as a doctor in a large hospital, but I lost everything when my wife and daughter died in an accident. It was raining that day. The car flipped. I survived, but they didn't. I saved so many lives, but I couldn't save my own family. I couldn't go on. The pain was too much. I started drinking. I lost my job, then my home, and now, here I am." Gabriel listened quietly, without interruption. When Eduardo finished, Gabriel's eyes glistened with tears. "I'm sorry, Eduardo, but you're still here. That means there's still hope." That day, Gabriel promised to come back, and he did. Every day, he brought them food and shared heartfelt conversations. Slowly, Eduardo began to change. He stopped drinking, washed himself in public restrooms, and with Gabriel's help, got new clothes. Then one special day, Gabriel arrived with an unexpected advertisement. "I found a job for you, Eduardo. It's in a hospital. A patient you once treated helped me get in touch with the owner." Eduardo could hardly believe it. "Why are you doing all this for me?" he asked, his voice shaking. Gabriel smiled and replied, "The scripture says, 'Do unto others as you would have them do unto you.'" Luke 6, verse 31. Deeply moved, Eduardo accepted the opportunity with gratitude. He worked hard, relearned the medical advances of the years he had lost, and gradually regained the dignity he thought was gone forever. His dedication paid off, earning him the position of general director of the hospital. His colleagues respected him not only for his skill, but for his resilience and compassion. Years later, Eduardo had a new family, a loving wife, and 2 young children. He opened a private clinic and made it his mission to employ people from the streets, giving them the same second chance he had received. Whenever anyone asked about his journey, Eduardo would smile and say, "It all started with a young man named Gabriel. He was my angel in the darkest chapter of my life. Now, I strive to be an angel for others, too." Mysteriously, Gabriel disappeared without a trace. No one could find him, as if he had never existed. But Eduardo never forgot the young man who had transformed his life. The corner where Eduardo sat for years became a beacon of hope. A sign, placed by Eduardo, read, "Never underestimate the power of an act of kindness. It can transform lives. We too can be an angel in someone's life, whether it's for a neighbor, a friend, or even a stranger." Yes, we need to be careful not everyone is like Eduardo, but a kind word, a meal, or even a small gesture can touch the hearts of those who are on the streets, often not by choice, but because of pain and loneliness. Think about it. Thank you for watching. God bless your life.